All right, good afternoon, everyone. Today is Friday, last day of the week. It is September 13th, 2024. Our goal here is to review the market generated information in a holistic fashion. We are intimately following the auctions narrative of both ES and NQ. If we have time, we'll theorize and add additional commentary towards the end. We did speculate in the market today with limited commentary. Please see our uploaded video of the Dom. It contains some of my real-time analysis, so we can use it as a tool for our professional development. All right, perfect. Let's get started. So it wasn't too much for the earnings, so it's nothing really too much to show. And they only have it for next week anyways. There's like a FedEx that's for after the close on Thursday, so that's somewhat, important, I guess. Let's see. For the economic data, we had a little bit of 5:30, and we had the 7 a.m. consumer sentiment. We'll go down here. My apologies. So again, we had our 5:30s and then the 7 a.m. consumer sentiment. So really not too much on the docket that we were looking for today. This is after CPI and PPI. So we got the majority of the data out of the way. Next thing is going to be the retail sales on Tuesday, and then the CPI. I'm sorry, the FOMC on Wednesday. So really, the goal for the market today was just really continuation on the buyer side, continue to squeeze and push higher, grind up back into balance. So that way, where we came from last week, we're in the same fucking place as we head into FOMC. So I think this is just amazing how this happens. So this ended up just being balance. Um, yeah, just a squeeze below the balance and it failed. Same situation here for the NQ. So it's really not too much to talk about. Just another grind up day, higher highs and higher lows, one time framing above us. They're holding above the 5 daily simple moving average. Really not too much to glean at even from the footprint. So a bit of a lighter volume as we end the week. Not too much for the buyer or the seller delta, giving the lighter volume. For the ES, same situation for the NQ. Again, we're not going to look too much at the delta given the not necessarily a compression day, but I mean, we only have 179 points of range for the NQ and 46 for the ES. So, I mean, it really wasn't too much. But just to keep it consistent, where are we coming from? Just continuation of the squeeze higher from the rejection of the non-farm payrolls on Friday. This was the grind up Monday and Tuesday, which we already said was a bit weird. Wednesday confirmed it with the down test of the non-farm payrolls. RTH low, but they didn't actually break it. And then just complete obliteration to the upside. Definitely a higher time frame players in play and just force price upwards back into balance as we head back into FOMC, which I believe is a key piece that we overlooked. So really the goal for the buyers were to do just that, just one time frame. Again, fairly simple. Same situation here on the NQ. They're a little more compressed as we head into this slopeward area, but they too are headed back into balance, which we can look a bit more on the market profile. But we understand where we came from and how we finished. Looking at the sector tracker for the S&P 500, they finished about 0.5%, with the leaders being utilities today and industrials, consumer staples, and communication materials. So nice for everyone else. And this is really giving an opportunity for financials and healthcare to take a break. Consumer and discretionary did fairly well themselves. Just a nice day overall. Looking at the 5-day week, the financials and the energy sectors are the only ones that's negative. This is important for the financials and very minimal upside for communications and healthcare just in general. But this is not a weekly review. We'll look a little deeper, looking at the market profile for the S&P 500. We have my apologies. We have our monthly composite for September that we're building, and then our composite that goes from the end of the middle of April. Yes. So just to seeing where we balance as we head into the new contract, which I need to double check to see if the new contract is the one that's valid. So just bear with me. But the contract should have ended today, if not next week. But I'll look more into that. Actually, one moment. Yeah, that actually looks like it's next week. Sorry, I had to pause the video. So yeah, the roll should be for next week. But just to have some context, again, we have our higher time frame composite over here with the high balance within the 5600s as we are back home. We are back home, guys. And then we have our monthly, which came from the lows near the 5400, and no one just really wanted to trade. Even when we did, we pretty much spiked our way back up, and it was essentially just a magnet to get back into this area where we found equilibrium, and then we slowed down. So we're back home. Not too much happened here. We did open at this resistance zone, which is the 5600s through the 20s. And I'm sure you remember us talking about the 5600s for a while, the 30s, the 40s, into the 50s and the 60s. So we're back into all of that. We have some singles that were here that were already taken out. This is no longer a resistance zone. I wouldn't call it. I mean, we'll go ahead and make this. We'll go ahead and make this support. But I mean, this is something that we'll do on our own time. But for this daily candle, we essentially just ate up the singles here. A few more singles above. Could not quite reach the singles at the high 40s, but they definitely tried. Or just like the 50s. Actually, let me double check. Yeah, yeah, those mid 40s they couldn't reach. So solid day overall. About peak shape for the volume, but not peak shape for the TPO. So the majority of volume was probably just towards the end of the day, but we can look at the footprint on the intraday for a little more details. So solid overall, really not too much to talk about. We'll go ahead and merge those, and we have a completed 2 weeks of March, which a lot of volume here at the lows, though we're just back into balance. So I just want to merge these to see what it looks like, and we'll hide the drawings. We can see we just sat down, and then we sat down, and then we came back up. Simple as that. So P-shaped profile, lots of volume near these highs. We're accepting prices higher. What else do you want to say? Same situation here for the NQ, except they are a bit weaker. And they essentially had just an island day, just really floating around here. I didn't draw any zones here because they kind of terminated some singles, and this is just like just a messy area. I didn't want to just add stuff, and I think I had that somewhat accurate as there wasn't much activity here, especially with this pressure zone here. We're right at this VPOC zone, which is really pronounced. Which is the 500s and the 600s. So we really just sat sideways and just really compressed here, just holding on to dear life until FOMC. I would imagine we'll give them the same treatment. Just a lot of, um, just a big downtrend, and we're coming back up into this former support area near these pivots. So we'll see how this goes for next week. It's a very key area for them to win, which is those 600s to the 700, which those singles they could not break. We were looking at this, a while back ago. If we do break these, I'd definitely be interested to doing like a breakout for here because this is definitely an important area. Those 19,700s. All right, so we'll look at the intraday. You can see the 138 minute, same thing that we were looking at for the NQ, just in candles form. Even here, same situation for the, actually we can do, and never mind. I was trying to do a keyboard shortcut, but don't mind me. Just us looking at it earlier, same situation here. This is that rejection zone. We're not rejection zone, but this key line in the sand, this 5620s to the 40s. They were able to battle in there and even poke above just by a little bit, but no more continuation. Looking at the footprint, really not too much on a lighter day. We simply just drifted up. Nothing really to look at here for the delta. Lighter volume overall, so we're not going to spend too much time with that. Same situation here for the S&P 500. A bit of a curve for higher highs and higher lows nonetheless. Not really too much to say here about the delta. Even when they did try to push here, no result, and they ended up, just licking their wounds. Could have just been some profit taking as we head into the weekend for de-risking. We'll look at the candles for a little more context where we came from. We had our drift into CPI, and we tested the former near those lows. This is the NQ, so the NQ didn't have much of a downtrend as the ES, but they tested some of their Friday price action for the RTH, found support, completely engulfed multiple days, multiple candles, closed fairly strong, build volume, pressurized to the side, look below briefly, and then finish with a trend up day, coil sideways again, and then that's where we are for this day. We had our overnight coiling sideways, same situation off a trend up day, though small in nature, but it's trend up nonetheless. We poked below the overnight low at the beginning. We could only trade for maybe about a point or two. It was like 5 points or so down here. And we ended up making a new overnight high on that leg up after the overnight fell. So we fell to the overnight lows and completely pierced through the overnight high. Move to the side a little bit. Actually, let me do that here. And do remember we have the 7 a.m. data that's coming down. So as we make this new leg, we retrace somewhere to about that midpoint, but we are well above the IB mid. So fairly strong defense from the buyers. And then as the buyers and the sellers anticipated the 7 a.m. data, we traded about the same to the upside and to the downside, but we made a new high, but we did not even touch the open or the IB low. So valid defense from the buyers, and that warranted a new leg. We ended up getting our new leg, and then we ended up trading a bit lower. Seems like a bit of a bid pull, but who knows? We'll need to review the DOM. And then again, we did not test this open, but we did pierce this SOC low by a tick, reclaim the IB mid. That definitely warrants a new high as well. They ended up getting it. This is definitely some OTF behavior, some higher time frame who are really supporting price. They can be quite annoying when you're looking at the DOM, just the way you get these movements and then it quickly retraces. You know what I mean? This is not day traders that are um, being exact with their momentum, selling at the midpoint, selling at the quarter, selling at the lows. OTF doesn't care. You know, any opportunity they get is going to go in a direction that they're pushing it. You're seeing the higher highs and higher lows the whole time. We've seen this retracing, these big legs selling off and being completely engulfed, you know, for the rest of the price action. Hell, we're seeing it on the damn daily. It's the same thing that's happening here. So that's why we've been mentioning that we're bullish on the highest time frame, and that's where we always start. So again, we have more legs up after this reclaim of this IB mid, and then we just pretty much just grind up, kick our way out of this zone, test the IB mid, found support near the overnight high and the RTH VWAP, and then we essentially just traded below those, between those two. Any rejections were quickly bought up, and then it seems like OTF just pretty much just not gave up here, but we just settled at the IB high. All the work was done. No one was really interested. The volume was a bit done. I think everyone had a rough week, and you can really see it on the DOM. People just wasn't playing today. Same situation here for the ES rather. Coiling, except they're drifting up. They did not test their overnight low. This was simply the nearest pivot here. I don't even think they broke it, or maybe it was like a double bottom. Pushed up, closed near this IB high. Same little spinner candle for the SOC. And then they just drifted up out of the zone, rejected, found support at their IB mid and closed at their VWAP. And then same situation as the NQ. Buyers really supported it. Any kind of drifting lower supported. Any quick retraces to the any quick impulses to the downside quickly retraced, and then they settled at their IB high for the remainder of the day. So again, solid day for the buyers. So how well of a job will we say that they did? We'll give them a solid, 9 or 10. Any kind of they pretty much took the fight out of the sellers from what we can see. So we're back we're back to where we were, where it was low volume and a lot of balance. May not be the most comfortable thing for people to trade, but balance is what it was. So we'll see. We have 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, until the FOMC. Retail sales may be somewhat important, so it'll be something to be on the lookout for. But the buyers did a fabulous job for the ES and the NQ. No real surprises outside of the NQ, who may have been a little more compressed as they headed into the day, and the tick low, or the pointer two low over the overnight low, was a very strong start. So the moves or trade of the day for me to go back and look at will essentially be the stronger participant making higher highs and higher lows for the overnight session while calling from their trend up day at the highs. That will 100% be the ES. This reclaim above the IB mid and at the VWAP isn't necessarily something I would trade, but seeing this retest of this IB mid and then this coiling here at this RTH VWAP is definitely something I would be interested in. You can essentially risk the once you blow past this candle here, or I mean really even here, which is the 5622s, and which would be the 5617. So even a 5 point risk targeting the highs, that'll get you well over 2 to 1, 3 to 1 there. Just something for me to be looking at in the future. So there was a ideal spot. Could you break down on a 1 minute and possibly look at this? By all means, you can. We finished a little earlier, so we'll give ourselves that little treat. So it'll be somewhere in here. Again, once you have this retest and this reclaim, this hammer candle from the IB mid on these retraces back down, you can 100% have a little tighter risk for us using our DOM. And if you can get that somewhere near the close of that candle at the 18s, you can shave off a little bit of your risk and have it go down right to the end of this candle, and even scale in once you reclaim this 5 smoothing average, especially as you're breaking that initial impulse candle here at this 730 mark to start the B bracket. It's actually a little cleaner on the NQ. Looking at the 1 minute, same situation here. When they broke their SOC low, that was somewhat of an indication there as well. So this is about 41 to 13. As you shoot up, and then we have our retraces, we really need to be looking towards this close to see if this 50% line is protected. And if these people that shorted here at these lows or below this SOC, possibly using them as trap sellers. Curious if we throw in these trade bubbles. Yeah, it's not going to be the same here on the NQ because they don't have the same amount of volume. But I digress. Same situation. Looking on this retest here, as everyone is fairly strong. Really no reasons to look for the outside in trades, which is what I was doing in real time. In hindsight, it doesn't make sense as we are well above prior days range, and we just can't stay. This was the indication here that it was a possible trend day with the higher highs and the higher lows. The OTF just wanted to protect. So we had our opportunities here, which this was not tradable in real time. We have it on video. I couldn't even recognize what was going on, but this absolutely somewhere in here you can for sure have a bit of a momentum, and imagine that we're going to have OTF still supporting price with the higher highs and higher lows by all means. So exactly where to get in, I'm not exactly sure, but the theory still remains. So I'll go ahead and leave it here. Excellent day to review and for us to learn. I'm happy. I'm looking forward to next week. We'll make sure we get our rest and have a good weekend.